Pigweed here. Today we review an ale and ask, do our institutions deserve our trust? All right.
Hey,
Good evening.
Pigweed. How's it going?
Pretty good.
What's going on? How about some beer and conversation?
That sounds like a great idea. What are you drinking?
So we're drinking a cream ale from Jailbreak.
All right. Jailbreak. Very good.
All right. So what's on your mind?
Just feels like there's less trust in our institutions, the things that are supposed to bind us together, that sort of define our culture.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's, are we just getting wise to the idea that they never deserved our trust, or are they misbehaving in such a way that they have lost our trust?
Yeah, or if we changed in some way, right?
Okay,
so that's a good point.
All
right. So this is from Jailbreak Brewing. Our buddy's just up down the road here a little bit, and it's cream ale with vanilla.
Yeah,
and it's got a cow on the front, which seems reasonable. So what do you think there?
I'm getting a vanilla. I'm getting it both in the nose and a little bit in the back door.
Yeah.
When you swallow, it's coming in around 5% or so, a little bit more.
Something like that. It's 5.2. Yeah. So it's a regular mild kind of an ale. You know, cream ales you don't expect to be too hoppy.
Yeah, not too hoppy, not heavy malts either.
Yeah.
And a little bit of mouthfeel to it. It warns you on there for you lactose sissies out there.
Yeah.
Yes, that it contains lactose, which is going to give a little bit of a silky mouthfeel.
Is that this one? Does this one say it has lactose in it?
Did I make that up?
I think that was a previous beer that we were drinking, but yeah, I don't.
Wait a minute! I don't generally drink 2 beers in one evening.
Come on, yeah, I know you don't.
This is a crazy night.
I know.
This is a crazy night for me.
Okay,
but it does have. I mean, maybe that's what maybe
that's what the vanilla does.
Or isn't what defines a cream ale? If it doesn't give it a sort of a creamy flavor with a cow on the front?
Yeah. Then
what defines a cream ale?
Yeah,
so maybe not from lactose, but from something because
I used to think
there's a little lingering flavor on the tongue.
Yeah, I used to think that a cream ale was kind of a blend of lager and ale. And that's not what it is.
Okay,
it's just a style range. They use a certain style of yeast. They certain IBU range. It's just a mild kind of an ale, and that's what you get. All right, so distrust of institutions. What do they deserve it?
Do they? Well, no, they definitely don't deserve it. My question is, have they never deserved it?
You're saying that no, they don't deserve trust.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely not. But were we just like complacent and naive to think that they did in the past, and now we're just getting wise to them?
Yeah.
Or did they once deserve our trust, and now they don't?
Yeah. So you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember that when Twitter was first a thing, there was this Twitter handle, "Shit My Dad Says"?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And it became a really big thing. There was even a TV show for one season, and the guy wrote a book about it. And in the book, he discusses this situation. His father was a scientist.
All right.
And he discusses this situation where he falsified some information on a science project that he did in college or something like that. And his dad was really, really upset about it. And he learned that this really mattered to his father. You know, the idea about being honest about your data and being straightforward about science.
What good is science if it's not reporting the factual results of the data? You go where the data sends you.
Right. And so there's a side of me that says that's the way people used to be. Yeah. Scientists used to actually care about the scientific method and about honesty and about transparency and about following the data and doing things in a straight up way. The same thing with politics, that there used to be people who had a sense of honor. You know, that they did their job with a sense of honor, and if they broke that code, they would resign.
Right. And now there's a sense that everything is agenda driven.
Right. Everything's agenda driven. Everybody's on the take. Everybody's just trying to get theirs. And the question is that actually what's going on, or is that just a perception?
Right.
Like, do we have a rosy view of the past and a dark view of the present, or did things really change that way from?
Did they really? Well, Scientific American. I'm pretty sure Scientific American. Yeah. Michael Shermer, who is a skeptic. He's now the editor of Skeptic magazine. He had the record for continuous articles in Scientific American.
Yeah.
And then he's you go where the data sends you, and I found this fascinating. We all know. How I'm doing the bunny ears over here. We all know something.
Yeah.
Only to find out
maybe we don't know it. Yeah.
Yes, and it was. Everybody knows that abusers grow up. Abused children grow up to be abusers.
Right.
And he was like, "Well, actually, the data doesn't show that at all." I always found that was weird. It's like, well, you're about to become a dad. And you're like, I know what it was like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I am not going to be that guy.
Right.
So I thought I didn't doubt it because everybody knew that was true, but. My reflex was, that seems weird. A weird reaction to this. And he said it's really not true.
Yeah.
The numbers aren't true. Well, then the editors were like, yeah, but it promotes the right idea that we like. It's beneficial for us to fudge the science a little bit. Yeah. And they did, and they broke his line, and they broke his relationship with the magazine.
Right.
Going,
what's the noble why? Is that what that concept is?
Yeah.
It's like, So it's really not true if we tell people that if you go up and take the egg out of a nest, that the mother, they tell kids that if you disturb a nest, if you touch the egg, that the mother will reject the egg, and that's not true. but they
really,
it's not true. But they tell kids that because kind of better that you don't mess with the egg.
Yeah.
And so once again, it's the noble why concept. It's like, okay, that's really not true, but we think it has a good result by telling it.
Yeah, but. You know what? There is something to that, and as far as the touching of the egg, I'm okay with that as the noble law. But once you get to a scientific magazine that's supposed to have some credibility,
yeah, exactly.
So
elementary school teachers telling kids that if you jerk off you're going to get warts. That's one thing, but a scientific magazine saying something that's not true for whatever reason.
Right. So I'd like to go through the institutions, but do you have any ideas about the broader ideas of how trust is lost?
Yeah. So I listened to this very interesting podcast, the Oxford Comment, which is funny because the Oxford Comma.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it.
So he says corruption and abuse of power is a big one.
All right.
Ideological conflict is a big one, like when society becomes more bipolar in that respect.
Right.
Economic equality, when you have displays of fabulous, obscene wealth, super yachts, that sort of thing. The unequal administration.
So in that sense, you would be like, I don't think the system is working for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? When you see this obscene...
How come the system is making them obscenely wealthy?
And you expect me to have trust in the system, but I see...
Right. So that's a reason. When you have two systems of justice where Major Crowhill, if she were to do what Hillary Clinton did with, or for that matter, what Donald Trump did with classified documents, she'd be in jail, but they're not. The idea that you can't really have a conversation with an institution, they're so distant, they're so removed from you. The idea that they're so complex, there's so many of them and they're so complex, and then nepotism. Like how come the Kennedy clan keeps showing? How come the Bush clan? This idea that this family.
So these are all things that sort of erode trust in the institutions that we're supposed to believe in, that sort of make up our culture, our society, our identity,
and our governance and our money and like how your taxes are being spent. All these things are so important. But then you see these kind of things going on. Any of these 7 things I mentioned, and you start to say, well, I don't know if I can really trust.
I remember very, very early in my relationship with Mrs. Pigweed, who was recently from Mexico, and I'm doing my taxes, and on the back of it is a little pie chart, which shows the proportions of where all the money goes.
Yeah.
And she looked at that, and I'm like, well, say this is, this goes to defense, this goes to that. She goes, do you believe that? And I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
What do you mean, do I believe that? I mean, it's right here on the IRS.
Yeah.
But that's a little window into the mentality of the Mexican and their view of their government.
It's
and
funny.
We don't want to be that. I don't think we want to be that person.
We don't want to be that. But to tell you the truth, I wouldn't believe that.
But most people do, and I think it's good. And as long as it's mostly good that we do. All right. How about if we just go institution by institution and say,
why do we distrust this one, and do they deserve it?
And is there a, what do you call it, a flashpoint or an event
right
that flipped the script on trust?
Yeah.
And how about the press? Do you think that you're so this is one that has to do with naivete or the most trusted man in news.
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite. Everybody had 3 channels. Everybody watched the same news, and I don't think I wasn't watching Walter Cronkite, but I don't think that there was a lot of water cooler discussion about that Walter Cronkite. He's full of it, man. That guy didn't know he's talking. I think everybody was kind of on board that. Yeah, what you're hearing from Walter is probably right.
So media is unfortunately what I've been kind of involved in for my entire life. But ever since I was 23. But so one thing that's important to think about is that there were only 3 channels, and you couldn't make it as a news organization if you only appealed to Democrats or only appealed to Republicans. You had to try to appeal to the broad middle.
All right.
Because that was the nature of the game, right? There's ABC, CBS, and whatever.
NBC.
NBC, thank you. And all of them are going for the same general market. So you couldn't be too far to the left or too far to the right and still attract an audience.
Right.
And
has social media and citizen journalists and the internet and more access to information, has it improved our access to the news because we don't get these 3 milquetoasts down the middle?
Yeah.
Or have they radicalized the news in all directions?
Yeah, I think the difference is now with cable, you don't have 3 channels, you have 1 billion channels, right? And, cable
24
news
24 hours a day.
Yes. Cable news started the process, but cable, then you've got YouTube channels, you've got podcasts, you've got a zillion different choices. And the way to get a market in that environment is radically different than the way to get an audience in there's only 3 news stations market. So the way to get an audience in the fragmented market is to have a point of view, is to be brash, is to be, we push the whatever agenda. We're socialists. We're this. We're, whatever it is. You're going to take a relatively narrow position.
And so the listener, the viewer, who is now found his niche, is looking at mainstream media and going, these people are lying to you.
Yes.
Because the real truth is over here on my station.
Yeah.
So, all right, so then the question is, are they genuinely untrustworthy, or have they just niched themselves out to where everybody is cynical and doubting? Like, is that why we distrust the...
So I think, like the Washington Post, back in the old days, there was the Arkansas Democrat and the Cleveland Republican or whatever. It was clear. They told you where they were coming from.
Right. So when you look back and you go, oh no, they were like you're saying, in media, they were sort of or down the road, but print media wasn't down the road. Like you said, they put it right in the title.
Yes, they would tell you
our bias
up front,
is right here.
This is the Christian Socialist paper, and this is the whatever. And when
it's not like we're unaccustomed to
biased. Yeah. But there was a time from like in the 60s to the 80s, that rough time frame, where there's this concept of the independent newspaper. The Washington Post wanted to be an independent newspaper, and they were saying, no, we're not the socialists, we're not the Democrats, we're not the Republicans, we're in the middle. We tell you
right. We are the paper of record.
Yes.
All the news that's fit to the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times. Yeah. We're just telling you how it really is.
Yeah, and that was a lie from the beginning. I mean, they tried, but the thing is, there's always a bias, and they had a bias, and so I paid no attention to the news whatsoever until I was like 18 or so.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was much more interested in other things. But once I started to pay attention to the news, it was so obvious to me that it was biased. And that was back when the bias was 1/10 of what
pre-internet.
It is now. Yeah, it was much milder than it is now.
I mean, movable type had just started, I think, back when you were
That's right. Yeah, they were still carving the things out of wood. Yeah, but so this idea of the independent newspaper, we just the facts and we're report that was never true, right. And it's only gotten worse. And so now we have a media that is.
Do you think the problem is
clearly biased?
It's pretending to not be biased.
It's pretending to not be biased.
That is actually worse than.
That's worse. That's the worst side of it.
All right, so let's just put. All right, so press. Yeah, you could deserve our trust if you were just honest about your bias.
Yes, just tell us.
On my list I've got medical bureaucracies. I mean, when you say like, should we trust the experts in the professional managerial class? You're a doctor. I mean, what am I? Who do you want me to trust?
Right.
Right. The voodoo practitioner.
Right.
Yes, of course I have to trust you.
Yeah.
And we have all. I mean, when have we not trusted what the medical experts?
Right.
Well, very recently.
Yeah.
I would say. Go ahead. COVID?
Well, COVID was a big part of it, but I think another big part of it is just the way that we all know that the drug companies are taking doctors and other people on these junkets, and they're taking them to conferences, and they're saying, if you promote this thing, you go into the doctor's office and they've got signs for certain medicines in the office, and like you wonder.
Right, the pen and the scratch pad,
right,
or from
Novartis, right. Yeah, so you're like, come on, am I really supposed to believe that? And then, so there's that side of it, just the drug company pushing certain perspectives, but then there's also the medical associations seem to have been ideologically captured, and they promote a certain agenda in the associations, and you're not allowed to say certain things. And a lot of this stuff was on display very clearly in COVID, because people who were well-credentialed, serious scientists were shut down and canceled, right, because they weren't willing to toe the line on the.
For some reason, the CDC had decided,
right,
with.
Whatever it was that they had decided.
Yes, but as something in conjunction with the administration, that this is how we're going to handle this.
This is the messaging.
Now, was it the fact that they were panicked about that they didn't know, and they're like, it's better that they think we know than if we're totally honest with them, we say we don't really know.
Yeah.
There's going to be greater panic than if we promise that we do know that, look, 6 feet, definitely 6 feet. Right, where does 6 feet come from? Don't question the science.
Yeah.
It's 6 feet. I have this, that there were credentialed people who promoted saying, bleach your mail, wipe down your... Do you think people wiping down their groceries with bleach wipes after they get home?
Okay.
And then they say, it's okay if it's not true. That's what people need to hear right now. Like for a sense of stability.
They need to feel as if they're doing something to protect themselves, even if they're not.
Yes, we'll give them fake things to do because that will calm their nerves and their panic.
Right.
And you can mask yourselves and do your 6 feet and wipe things down.
Right.
And none of it's actually going to do anything.
Yeah.
But we have to have a united front here.
Yeah.
And because we can't have the panic.
And this gets back...
But isn't that a little... Aren't you infantilizing the public? Like,
well, it's two things.
Can't handle this?
It's two things. It's the noble why again.
Right.
It's like, okay, so here you are running a radio station, and you know that a tsunami is about to hit the beach. Okay, and you know from solid research that if you announce that a tsunami is coming, the panic is going to cause 1,000 deaths.
Right.
But if you don't say anything and just let the tsunami hit, there's going to be 400 deaths. Right?
Yeah. People who are laying on the beach right now. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All in all, the utilitarian approach.
Yes.
Here, we're gonna
so there is this,
the numbers.
There is this attitude of the noble why, and part of the problem is sort of the nationalization and the fact that all these institutions, the medical institutions, everything else, have been captured by this kind of, it's like wartime. You know, in wartime, you want everybody aligned in a certain direction. Yeah. And that's the way all these institutions became. So that's why they said, look, we've got to make sure everybody follows this message, whether it's true or not. You know, we think it's true, but it's the message we've decided on. Everybody's got to be aligned. If you're not aligned, we're kicking you out.
Yes, I mean, right, totally credentialed.
Yeah.
You know, people at a conference at Cambridge.
Yeah.
Well. Sorry. Not
you
only
have doubts about spike
not only are you
proteins
wrong, you also lost your job.
Yeah.
And you're off YouTube.
Yeah.
And you're off all social media.
Yeah. We've decided that the mRNA, whatever that is, vaccine is the right way to go.
Right. Ivermectin, that's horse paste.
Right.
And if you're not wearing a mask, you're killing grandma.
Yeah.
And so I think that is part of the. So that to me that was phase one of the loss of public trust in medical. But the other thing is what you said about the, when the medical association is for transing the kids.
Right.
Well, that like for 4 years.
Yeah.
And now they're like, we
didn't mean that.
We decided that's a bad idea. Like,
yeah.
The only reason I did that because I took my kid in, and you said I'd have a dead son, and that this was totally not a problem. What you can postpone puberty? What do you mean? You can go through puberty at 23 if you want to, because if you just block it, you can.
Yeah.
So, right?
The lies that they told.
The lies, and then, but of course, there's a lot of the rest of this. A lot of the medical community is tainted by this.
Yeah. So I just want to review some of the blatant lies they said. One of the lies was, would you rather have your boy become a girl or have your boy commit suicide?
Yes, yeah, that's just the worst kind of blackmail.
That was an absolute lie. There was no science to back that up. It was just a straightforward lie.
And some people have recognized that, but there are states that are still doing it, and people and institutions that are still doing it right today.
So that was one of the clear lies. Another of the clear lies was that you can postpone puberty, and that was complete nonsense from the beginning.
No, that's castration.
Right. And then another one of the straightforward lies was that none of this stuff was being done to minors, that they weren't chopping off the breasts of healthy young girls, which they absolutely were doing.
The lies
were outrageous.
Right, and the big announcements now are the biggest gender clinic has decided we're going to stop doing that. So we were never doing it.
We weren't doing it.
And now we're definitely stopping.
We're stopping now. Yeah. I never did that. But I'm not going to do it anymore.
Now I'm stopping.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
does the medical establishment deserve a loss of trust?
yes. Now
100%.
Here's the thing. You might have a reasonable trust of your local doctor if you know your doctor. If you can talk to your doctor.
You can keep your doctor?
Yeah. If you right. If you talk to your doctor, like my doctor, for example, will tell me things that have nothing to do with drugs. You know, he'll say, look, people will say you have to do this, but you know, if you do this, if you just take an aspirin, you know, he asks you about exercise. You know, he's a doctor. He actually acts like a doctor. So I trust him. But the medical establishment, I do not trust them. I think they're ideologically captured, and I don't trust them.
There's another one that took a hit during COVID. I think the education system.
Oh my gosh!
I think
the fact
online,
that they wouldn't open up the schools even after it was very obvious it was time to open up the schools.
Right. But also parents getting a window into
what they were doing,
what was going on. Now you have, I think parents are more recognizing more what's going on in the classroom. This is all kind of coincides. You've got, you know, the whole Flovid thing. You've got COVID, and now and gender ideology have come together. And you're as a parent, you're like, why do my kids need to know about your sexuality? My kids, he's in the second grade. He would never have heard of the word sexuality if you hadn't talked to him about it.
Right.
So we don't trust him for that.
Yeah.
And also the general sort of anti-Americanism.
Right. Well, what happened was kids were now taking classes on Zoom.
Yeah.
And the parents were able to walk by and hear what was being said. And they were like, wait a minute, that's what you're teaching in class?
Yeah.
And so they started to realize that
and at
the
the same
garbage...
Time, and at the same time, you know, the gender confusion, sexuality, all of that, they all decided this is our window to jam this into the schools.
Right.
And what?
Good news. The Supreme Court struck down some California regulations about not telling parents when kids are. So the schools want to say, no, we're the parents.
And they were. If your kid was transitioning at school,
we're not going to tell you.
We would cover for them.
We're not going to tell you.
And they'll have a different name at school.
Right.
But you know, you can still. Yeah, so that's the school aspect. The other aspect is in California, you can still have your protective child CPS come and take your child away for not gendering them in the way that the child has been groomed to think that they should. So anyway, So do we not trust the public education? Do they deserve it?
I haven't trusted the public education since forever. So.
You started homeschooling your kids, which was forever.
Yeah.
And then you also look at protests on campus. Yeah. All of right. You're shutting down campus. You're tearing up your campus for some crazy left-wing cause, and the school's letting it happen. You're seeing, DEI in education.
How about this? How about the repeatability crisis in social science? All these studies that have been cited over and over again, very, very prominent, influential studies saying everybody knows such and so because of this big study.
Right.
And then it turns out that those studies, weren't really what we thought they were, and there's this huge so one of the principles of science.
It gets the right. Okay.
One of the principles of science is that if I do an experiment and show that this leads to that, you should be able to do the experiment and show the same thing.
What is more fundamental to science?
Because the idea is I'm working with the same reality that you're working with.
Yes.
Right.
The repeatability.
So in social science, particularly, there's been this crisis of repeatability, and it affects psychology, it affects social science, it affects a lot of things. That all these big studies that have been so influential for decades have turned out to be garbage, that when they try to repeat them, they get different results.
Right, but once if you get a desired result, then you have so many people repeating the result that you get to that sort of, well, we all know.
Yes, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Everybody
Pop
knows.
Psychology. Now it's infiltrated the culture,
Mm-hmm.
and we all walk around with this clear knowledge of this obvious thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows where it came from, and then if you trace it back, it's to an unrepeatable study.
Yes, exactly, and that has become a huge crisis in psychology and other social sciences.
There was the guy, Larry Summers, who got pushed out of
Harvard.
Yeah. They're going
for saying things that were clearly true, because a bunch of women listening to it said, "Oh, that makes me feel bad."
Yeah, it's like, well, the reason that there are fewer women at the higher levels of STEM is they're just not that interested in it.
Yeah.
No. It must be chauvinism and patriarchy.
Yes.
No, that's not really. That's not what. So it's totally true, but if it hurts somebody's feelings, not men, of course, if it hurts women's feelings or minorities' feelings, then it's a problem whether or not it's true.
Yeah.
And this is academia. This is not supposed to work this way.
Right. You're supposed to be able to say something true, and you can't anymore. If you can be a credentialed professor in Harvard,
right,
and if you say something true that makes somebody feel uncomfortable,
right,
your career gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And why would you trust Harvard anymore?
Yeah, I know. All right.
Like, so you're in Harvard and they start telling you something. Like, why should I believe what you're saying? How do I know that you're not just saying that because that's what they're telling you have to say?
Exactly, because if you told me the truth, you'd lose your job.
Right.
And so now I just have to
When only one thing can be said, you can't believe that one thing.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to check that one off. You don't deserve our trust.
No, you don't deserve our trust.
And also, yes, like the initial question of were we naive to believe them in the first place, or did they used to actually be more trustworthy? I would say in education and academia and medical, yes, they were more trustworthy.
I think so. I think they were.
Now these are ideological problems.
There have always been fakers. There have always been people who did, something for money or for prestige or for whatever, and that has always been true.
Yeah. But you had safeguards in place.
It didn't capture institutions the way it has now.
Yeah. Let me see. Okay. Well, I think I got science and CDC and genders. We've done all of that. Well, there's. So you have over there corruption and
abuse of power, nepotism,
and
right?
all of that. Like, so was government more worthy of our trust than it is today? Or do we, do we just have windows into the corruption now that we didn't used to have?
Yeah, this one's harder for me because the more I learn about the way government worked in the 1750s and the 1820s, and it's always
how
been
slimy it was.
I know.
Yes, like they'll go, right, exactly, like Andrew Jackson and versus these guys are dueling each other and slandering each other's wives, and you know what I mean. It's always been kind of slimy.
It's always been pretty slimy. So
Nixon probably did win the election over Kennedy, but the mob swayed the votes necessary. It's not like this is the first time that elections have been in question.
And the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, with so much money and power at stake.
Right.
The idea that somebody is not trying to game the system just becomes an absurd idea. Like if you have $1 trillion to lose because this guy's going to win versus that guy, then of course you're going to try to influence it. Of course you are.
And so were we more inclined towards principle rather than power back in the old days?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Did we? All right. So then, listen.
Wait a minute. Let me put a little bit of science behind this one.
All right.
there's something like about 2% of the population, some sort of stable percentage, it's about 2%, are psychopaths.
Yeah.
And where are psychopaths disproportionately going to go?
Yeah, in positions of power.
They're into positions of power and influence. So the idea that politics has always been disproportionately full of psychopaths.
Right.
I think that's just a pretty
thing.
Obvious kind of a thing.
Yeah. So I mentioned Nixon and Kennedy.
Right.
What about trust in our voting system?
Yeah.
Which I think is. I mean, I'm thinking it's terrible right now, and
Jasmine Crockett thinks so.
I know, but somehow the vote was. I mean It was a primary vote, a Democrat versus a Democrat, and still the Republicans were.
I know. The Republicans were cheating somehow.
The Republicans were cheating and costed her election. She was running against another Democrat.
Well, that's black female Democrat privilege.
Yes,
you're allowed to do that.
Oh yeah. So is I love this the way that at the end of the last or the Biden win.
Yeah.
They just came out and guaranteed, without
Flat
any investigation whatsoever, the safest and most secure and most honest election in human history.
Right, yeah.
You're like, really?
Really? I mean, did somebody investigate that?
No.
Did you ask somebody to do an audit or anything?
Is there any evidence
just
to back
assert that?
Yeah.
Just assert that that's the case.
Yes, and I don't know, 10 million votes more than you got the last time.
Yeah.
I don't know where they came from, but
right.
I'm just saying in general. So the fact that we're fighting now about voter ID and securing votes, and people who are fighting to not weird votes showing up at 3 a.m. and I think people have a greater distrust.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, who knows what's going on in 1750 when somebody's riding through on a rail car or on a horse. Takes you a day to bring, what's happening to these votes along the way.
Right.
I mean, was it totally legit?
Yeah, probably not.
1729?
Yeah. No rails in 1729, but...
For some reason, I couldn't think of the word horse. So, all right, so voting, it's I think it has a lower trust level, but has it earned it? I don't know. It's probably always been a little shaky.
It's probably always been a little shaky. And the thing is, even if it's crappy, it's probably better. It's like democracy is the worst form of government except all the other ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
All right. So all I have left is I have like a religion / marriage.
Okay.
What do you want to do with you?
Yeah. So I don't think people trust religious organizations very much. I mean, there's such a woke mind virus.
But if we step back to Catholic. Boston Catholic pedophile scandal might have been the first crack in the trust of religion.
It was a big crack, but I mean, just recently, Pope, what's his name, Leo? Leo said that violence never you can never secure peace through violence, and my reaction was like. Almost every piece,
pretty much.
Almost every piece is secured by violence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like why?
Otherwise, there's constant fighting until somebody wins.
Yes, and then there's peace. like this. I don't know what. Like, why would you say such a thing as that? So there is this clear woke mind virus that's infected a lot of religions.
Even what you would consider to be the most conservative.
Yeah, and then you have the problem. It's not just the pedophile problem in the Catholic Church. It's the cover-up of the pedophile problem.
Right.
And so that's a big because in reality, in reality, there's more sexual abuse by public school teachers than there is of priests.
Right.
But there hasn't
But if
been
if you felt like the church really stepped up and addressed the problem,
Right, yeah.
then you'd feel like, all right, they found it, they uncovered it, they're
Yeah.
dealing with it,
Yes.
and the distrust came from
covering it up. Yeah. What did you mean by marriage?
that the sacred institution of marriage.
Well, there's so many TV shows and movies,
and people just go. I think, and people just going in with the idea of, I don't know, I'll give it a couple of years if it didn't work, as opposed to having the idea of, well, this is a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, the whole concept of marriage has degraded quite a bit.
Yeah, so I would say
same-sex marriage and with the concept of, oh, we're married, but we still do this and
open marriage,
other kinds of things.
Marriage,
so marriage has declined.
Thruples, and you know what I mean. So there's I wouldn't call it necessarily a distrust, but just as far as
young men apparently distrust it because young men aren't getting married anymore.
Yeah, because they're like
what? This is a bad deal.
Yeah, this is a bad deal. Look, basically, I'm setting myself up to lose half my shit.
Right. So she decides she's not happy, so she takes my kids and my house, and I have to pay her.
And basically, that's all she needs, and she's more likely to initiate it.
Right.
And basically, it's just like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it anymore. And you're like, all right, well, I mean, why wouldn't we have? What did he do? I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. Well, then you can leave.
Yeah.
You can leave. He keeps the house. He keeps everything.
But that's not the way it works. The way it works is she gets the kids, she gets the house, and he has to pay her alimony, and he's left with.
Yeah, and then 30 years from now, when he retires, he finds that she gets half that too. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, boy, talking about how do we end on an upbeat here?
How do we end on an upbeat? AI is going to solve all of this.
Thank you. AI is going to make all of the institutions irrelevant. And we won't have anything to do anyway.
That's right. And it won't matter whether you trust it or not.
Well, because you're going to live in a dormitory with free soma drugs and.
Yes.
A porn machine.
And all day long, you're going to be pedaling on a bicycle to power the AI.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. So that's so you won't have to worry about institutions.
You don't have to worry about institutions because they won't really matter anymore.
All right. That's great. Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.